Hi everyone. Today we have with us Mr. S.K. Dutt. Mr. S.K. Dutt is currently the President Leadership and HR of First Equal Global and is also a Senior Advisor with United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, MPTIC. Hi sir, welcome to HR Conclave 2018.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me here.
Sir, how are you feeling here?
Great. It was nice meeting you all. It was nice meeting the director and all the professors. Excellent experience. Thank you so very much.
Alright.
So, what drove you to choose HR as a career field? I mean, what is the thing that made you feel that this is the thing for me?
See, in the 1980s, it was a very evolving field. It was more of personnel, industrial relations, and my baptism happened in West Bengal. So, which was in a way, the very happening place for industrial relations and all of that. But also, having been in a subsidiary of erstwhile Groupon, there was a lot of activity with regard to HR, even whilst it was evolving. So I had an excellent learning opportunity in both streams, which is IR as also human resource management. Coming back to what made me choose it, I felt that this is where I felt that both in terms of my capabilities, my natural inclinations, as also an emerging field, I thought that it offered me great potential and opportunity to succeed in career and life.
So just one more question adding to it. So you've been mostly in the manufacturing and EPC sector. So how do you feel that how working is different in the manufacturing industry and the new technological driven industries which are coming, regarding our topic also? How different is HR in both the sectors?
Great. So I would answer your question is in two dimensions. One is it is different and it is also similar.
Okay.
And there is a third dimension in terms of stereotyping. So just in case I forget to remind me of that point also, because I'd like to share my perspectives with you as well. So manufacturing, obviously, you would have the plant environment, you would have the corporate office as well. There is a given way in which engineers think. Typically, there is a lot of engineering which automatically comes over in terms of, there is a lot of standardization, there is a lot of non-standard things as well, depends on the kind of manufacturing that you are in. So the mindset of people in some sense would be different, than typically the other this thing. The culture in terms of work, the way people do things, the way in which work gets done would be to a great extent different. But there are also similarities. So what I would say is, in terms of, let's say, a digital company, let's say, other segments like technology or IT companies like that. At the core, I think the people issues are the same, the HR issues are the same. I think where the difference comes in terms of the revenue model of the organization, the segment which it is in, and the demands of business of that particular segment, where you need to adapt HR to the market realities of that particular segment. So it is more a question of adaptation, it is more a question of contextualization than HR being any different by itself. The other point which I wanted to talk about in terms of the stereotyping part of it is also that like we say that diversity brings in a lot of innovation, differences bring in a lot of innovation and free thinking. So if we were to also, these days it has just about started happening, but we do, if Mr. Bachchan was an angry young man in Diwar, if he had not done the comedy movies in this thing, he would have been for his life branded as, an angry young man or a comedian, as the case may have been. So my point is that we must, because there is a lot of freshness of thoughts which also come when you change segments rather than being wedded to a particular segment, and there is no, excepting for practice, there is no research which says that there is any limitation for people, HR, especially functions like HR, functions like finance and so on and so forth, for people to move from one segment to the other. So I believe that this should actually be practiced more extensively than what it is being done now, because this is a very artificial limitation that we have imposed on ourselves. As long as the person has the capability of grasping, the brass tacks and the working of the particular industry, I think he is good enough to deliver in any segment of the industry.
Alright, thank you, sir. Sir, in your 3 decades of experience, what is the biggest challenge that you have faced as an HR?
The biggest challenge is a challenge which is not of HR, and here, I tell people as well. And let me illustrate this point to you. If HR in an organization succeeds, it is not only HR which has succeeded, it is the organization which has succeeded. If HR has a value proposition, that value proposition is not pertaining to HR only. It is pertaining to the business, the competitive advantage, sustaining the competitive advantage of the organization, right? So very erroneously, organizations think, and even, unfortunately, even, many, the top leadership of organizations also think that HR is this and business is separate. I think for organizations which still say that this is business, this is HR, that organization still has some learning curve to traverse. It is a misnomer to differentiate and say that this is business and this is HR. One. I think the awareness, so coming back to your question in terms of what was the challenge, I think it was creating that awareness at the board level, creating the awareness at the CEO level. Because if Philip Kotler could write, what is it that CEOs need to know about marketing? I think there is also at length we need to deal more with what is it that CEOs need to learn about HR. Because at the end of the day, it is the top leadership which is also going to drive HR, and it is not just HR. So HR is an organization-wide activity. HR is for everybody. HR department may provide the expert knowledge, the expert guidance, the expert coaching, but HR as an activity, the expertise and effectiveness of HR is what the organization collectively is, and not just the HR department.
If you have to explain an HR leader in one word, what would that word be?
See, I have a little bit of aversion to what are the three things, what is the one thing, and things like that. But allow me two words. So one is personal competence. But even over that is personal credibility. So credibility and competence. You need to know, what you are dealing with, and the expertise of your domain. And most importantly, you need to have credibility. So whether it is personal integrity, leading by example, everything comes into that.
All right. And so, what is your advice to young HR aspirants?
Okay, so first is, and here it could be a bit of a disappointment for you all. I think you must be extremely suave in being able to do things on the ground. But equally importantly, you must also be very strong on the theoretical constructs. There is a tendency, so I am not getting into the dispute or debate in terms of, this is theoretical, as I say, and this is, you would not get into a plane where the pilot has just practically learned everything and not gone through his theories. You would not go under an operation table under the scalpel or a surgeon's scissors if he had not gone through his theories as much as he is practical, right? So this is just to illustrate the point. What I often find is HR is too colloquial, and this is not about the youngsters. I find even some practitioners, and this is not to generalize, it's too colloquial. So it's not just a question of motivation. So all of this is known. So when we say motivate people, it is the simplest of generalizations you can have. But when you put it in an organizational context where there are thousands of people, there are so many inherent contradictions which lie there. There are limitations of resources, people's expectations to be managed, and all of that. This whole thing of motivation has to be put in a much larger context, and there you need to. So give your best, try to learn, because I think fundamentals such as doing the homework very well, knowing what you are talking about, setting your vision, making your canvas, casting the net wider, making your canvas broader, all of that. I mean, in simplest terms, doing the fundamentals well. I think leadership is all about doing the fundamentals well. And here, if I can take the thing of, purpose, context, and then to be able to create a followership with your, or serving your constituency. I think these are the three things that would be very important.
Sir, any transformation that you're looking forward to in the HR domain?
I am looking, especially with so let me sort of shift gears a little. Transformation. The first transformation is to be able to keep abreast of all that is happening in terms of today's discussion, digital disruption and organizational communication. For the points that we discussed, the example of the company that I gave, which was the first off the block in terms of innovating and sort of discovering, and yet not existing today, which was a global MNC of the kind in the singular, with no competition. These serves as examples to us that learning is a continuous process, knowledge is a continuous process, and we need to do that. So the first transition is a self-transition in terms of being able to keep abreast of the modern generation, of the modern world. And the second transition is, of course, now I'm at an age and stage where in whatever way that I can contribute to the nation building, even if I believe in that starfish story, that if I'm able to make difference to the life of one person in terms of sharing my experience with this thing, that will be very fulfilling for me.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for coming to IIM Jammu. It was a great interaction with you.
Thank you. God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you, sir.